Well, we're starting to see the cold really expand across the Arctic, and some of that's going to get tapped into over the next couple of weeks with the weather pattern shifting up. It will move south, and I think we see multiple rounds of cold weather. Now, is it going to be unheard of, something like we've never seen before? None of that's going to happen. It's going to be cold, I think, and we're starting to get some snow too in places where we've not seen much snow so far this winter. We're going to get into that today. Let's first start off looking down from the North Pole. This is North Pole right here. A lot of cold air. You can see this pink here showing up. Here's North America right here and the United States, Alaska, over here Siberia, and now you got Europe here. A lot of ice forming here across the Arctic Ocean. Now we've closed the gap with the sea ice, and cold air is going to try to spill south in multiple waves. Now here's the cold that we're dealing with right now across the east. Here's our big storm that's off the west coast. Things start to shift up as we head into the middle part of this week. Temperatures start to warm back up across the east, but notice how we're tapping into that cold air as we head into Monday, Tuesday, especially by the end of next week. This could pull some really chilly air south as we get that Arctic connection from the Northwest Territories and Alaska pulling south into the United States. And this right here could cause a multi-day lake effect snow event as we get into Saturday and Sunday of next weekend. Still quite a bit of time before we get there, but still nonetheless, it could be an issue. All right, let's talk about what's going on right now in the short term. We've seen the snow through Friday, and that will continue into Saturday for some of the highest elevations here in the Northeast and also into the mountains of West Virginia through early Saturday morning. A lot of that starting to wind down, other than the northern parts of New England and some rain showers here across southern New England, even a few rain showers back toward the Great Lakes into southern parts of Ontario. And then we have another system moving through just south of the Hudson Bay. That's bringing some snow. The snow is really picking up across the West Coast from Oregon down into California into the Sierra. We're going to see 1 to 3 feet of snow, especially above 7,000 feet. It's going to be a rough go from I-80 once you head out west of Reno across up towards Lake Tahoe. It's going to get rough, and it's going to really pick up as we head through the day on Saturday. More snow expanding too up into Canada, also into parts of Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming from Alberta east to Manitoba and Saskatchewan. We're going to see that snow here break out as we move into Sunday, and that snow could be heavy at times. And now our storm starts to take aim toward the Great Lakes. More on that in just a second. I want to show you the snow totals out west, especially right here into California. That seems to be the sweet spot for the heaviest snow, if you call it sweet. Better than 3 feet showing up here on the models here, especially above 8,000 feet. You get into the mountains that ring really around Lake Tahoe. I don't see why we wouldn't see 3 feet of snow. Strong winds, heavy rain on the windward side of the mountains here. So flooding is a concern. Either way, big snow's falling as we build the snowpack across California, and more snow across Idaho, also here into Montana. And then right along the U.S.-Canadian border, northern parts of Montana, we're going to see some big snows here. And the Canadian Rockies, a lot of snow is going to fall here over the next 48 hours or so. Calgary, I think we're going to see close to a foot of snow. It's hard to believe, but at least it's going to be close anyway. Once you get up towards Edmonton, a little bit less, but more snow spreading east as we move through the weekend. Kind of a stripe of snow here. Southern parts of Saskatchewan, southern parts of Manitoba will see some snow, and it will start to weaken as it moves off to the east, but still some snow with lighter amounts right here along the U.S.-Canadian border from North Dakota back into Montana. And we'll also see some snow down here into Colorado and Wyoming as well. Let's go forward in time. If you're watching in the east, you're going to get a bit of a break here as we head into Monday and Tuesday. Some showers try to break out ahead of our next system, which will start to deepen heading into Monday and then Tuesday. This is looking more amplified with every single run. This was the 12Z run. I'm going to pull the latest 18Z run, which doesn't use as much data, but it still gives you an idea that this could be a decently amplified system. Here's your trough back to the west. You can see how it's really digging in here, and it's negatively tilted too. So with that negatively tilted trough, it wouldn't shock me if low pressure starts to rapidly deepen here close to the northern part of Michigan, and that could put some heavy snow bands into parts of Wisconsin, up into the UP of Michigan, maybe even parts of the Arrowhead of Minnesota, and then here into southern parts of Ontario. Now, I'm not talking about down here towards Hamilton, towards Toronto, north of that, here north of Michigan. That looks to be where the heaviest snow will be into Canada, also into the United States. And then on the east side of this, some cold air in place. That could cause some freezing rain, maybe some sleet across northern parts of New England, also across the border into Canada. And this low really starts to wrap up Winds behind it turning out of the west and northwest. I think that could kick the lake effect snow machine on for parts of Michigan, also even further to the east into parts of New York, Pennsylvania. A lot of wind starting to come in out of the northwest, so downwind of Lake Erie and Ontario, I think we see some snow. Also Superior and Huron with some snow showers and flurries now. We talked about nothing really going on towards Toronto and Hamilton and southern parts of Ontario. You may get a few flurries as we head into Wednesday. Other than that, quiet across the southern United States. Not a lot going on here, at least once this front passes through. It's going to bring a few rain showers Tuesday, and it's not that strong, right? It kind of fizzles out across Florida, maybe a few showers, and our next system is taking aim on the southwest. This will be the Thanksgiving storm that potentially could bring some snow to parts of the east. This is the storm as we look at it on Friday. Follow it backwards. Here it is. Now on Tuesday? I'm going backwards in time. On Monday, that energy was just off the west coast, and here's where it gets really tricky. Look what's happening over the weekend. So here's the energy. It's looping around this trough here, so it's going to do this number kind of as we move ahead in time. So a lot of factors at play as to where this thing ultimately will go. Because it's so complicated, I think it's hard to nail down an exact forecast. But the idea of something moving east, causing some decent snow across the Rockies, really starting to increase as we head into Thursday. Once it moves east, where does it go? Are we going to see snow in Arkansas and Missouri? I would say highly unlikely at this point. This is the 18Z of the GFS, very progressive. Flat, if you will, just taking that energy and pushing it out to sea, not bringing it up the coast. A lot of cold air, though, here as we head into Saturday and Sunday. In fact, that's the problem with forming a storm. You're just blasting cold Canadian high pressure all the way down to the Gulf Coast. That suppresses any storms from forming. If you went back to today's midday run, I'm going to back that up. Here we go at the same time period. A different story. Low pressure amplifying and starting to move up the coast. With that, you get more snow here into the northeast, and you still get the cold air behind it. And either way, I guess a better chance of seeing lake effect snow heading into next weekend, and the pattern will stay active. I want to show you the afternoon European just for kicks, by the way. We didn't talk much about the European as that storm moves into Canada, but I do want to show you this too, because some decent snow building, not just across central and western Canada, which will play a huge part in what happens in the lower 48. I'm showing you the snow because you've got to really build that bridge from the United States all the way to the Arctic with snow, lay that pack down. Now, as cold air moves south, it will not modify and warm up. So we're building it across western and central Canada, and look what happens by Wednesday and Thursday. Again, not down here into southern parts of Ontario, but north of Toronto, up here close to the Hudson Bay, quite a bit of snow, maybe 8 to 12 inches. And I showed you all of that snow that's building back here. Now that cold air, as it moves south, it has a much better chance of staying cold. And I think that's one of the reasons, look at this, heading into December, our weather pattern starts to change a little bit. And these chunks of Arctic air that start to move south would probably not be modified. This is looking way out in time, but you get the idea. So I'm leaning closer to a cold start for meteorological winter, which would be right around December 1st. A lot of folks watching in a lot of different areas, and you say a cold start. Well, maybe not for you if you're in Houston, right? Or even the South. But still, it looks like we've got a cold pattern setting up, I think, here across a good chunk of the central and eastern United States, and also into parts of Canada. All right, so if you made it this far, I hope it means you enjoyed the video. I hope you'll consider subscribing. Thanks for coming back, and if you're a returning subscriber, and we'll see you next time.